Can you process traumatic events that haven't even happened yet? That might sound strange, but with EMDR, what a lot of people know is that we can process traumatic events that took place either recently or a long time ago and go from a place where they feel like they keep happening again and again to a place where the memory is still there, but it's in the past. It's just something that happened. And that can be really helpful to allow us to live our day-to-day lives without those intrusions. But what might be less apparent or less obvious is that with EMDR, we can actually process events that haven't happened yet. What do I mean by that? Basically, if we are worried about something, we might start to imagine it. So a trigger in the here and now might remind us of something that happened, and then our brain might start flashing forwards to an anticipated event that it imagines might happen. And that could be re-triggering and make us feel like we're back with that traumatic event. And so built into the EMDR approach is what we call the 3 prongs. So we've got the past, which is where we usually start, and we do processing on the historic events. And for some people, that's enough. Once you've processed those historic events, it's almost like that processing system is reactivated and it just starts to work through the rest. We can also go from the past into the present, and usually in the present we would work on the triggers that are in the here and now. So for example, if someone had been in an event with loud noises, loud sudden noises, perhaps a car driving past and backfiring might re-trigger them. So we could do some processing on loud transient sounds. Another thing that can happen in the present sort of box, the present prong of the past, present, future, is what we call flashforwards. So that's when a present trigger sends us into the future in our imagination. We flash forward and anticipate almost a sort of doomsday scenario, everything going wrong, the worst case scenario. So with EMDR, we do processing on that, and we would ask someone to bring that anticipated scenario to mind and then just do the usual EMDR processing. Once we've done the past and the present, so we've done those historic events, we've done the triggers in the here and now, we've addressed the flash forward, if there is a flash forward, we can also then go into the future and build what we call a future template. So that's thinking about that future scenario that might have been anxiety provoking, but then imagining a new version, almost playing a movie of everything going really well. So the thing that is anxiety provoking arises, it comes up, but the person visualizes themselves able to deal with anything that comes their way. Sometimes people find it helpful to have a mantra, something like, I've got this, I can do this. And just going through step by step that future event until they can just play it through, everything's going okay. And at that point, we've completed the processing. So that's how you can do trauma processing, not only on past events, but also on imagining it happening in the future and build a template for managing it as well as possible in the future. Where might we use the flash forward and future template approaches? We can actually use it with practically any presentation, but it's really helpful with things like phobias. So if someone has a fear of something, we might have addressed the historic times when that phobia has occurred, but there's often with phobias and fears, there's a fear of the fear. So for example, if I get on a train and then I feel panicky, how am I going to deal with it? So we then process that flash forward, imagining feeling panicky on a train, but also put in a future template of, I'm on the train, everything's going okay, I've got this. Another area where I found flash forwards and future templates really effective is with things like exams or driving tests. So I've done some work around those with people, first thinking about that kind of doomsday scenario, potentially, and or using the future template to imagine the exam or the driving test going really well, the person managing with anything that came up and got in the way, and people have found that really helpful. So I hope that's been a helpful explanation of how EMDR can help you to process things in the past, but also things that may or may not happen in the future. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and there'll be lots of other resources coming soon. Thank you.